Tesla has diamond hands. The Bitcoin Mining Council has pushed back against the House of Representatives on their claims about energy FUD. Argentina's largest bank moving into crypto. VanEck releasing NFTs. And of course, I will be at least briefly addressing all the things surrounding me happening on Twitter right now. You guys don't want to miss it. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I am Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of Wall Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and tickle that like button right down below. I hope that all of you are having a wonderful day and a good start to your week on this Tuesday. Now, as I said in the introduction, I want to address some things that are happening on Twitter at the moment. Not so shockingly, the same people that attacked me last year are coming back around now a year later. Now, to be clear, the things that are being said about me are the same old accusations. Actually, they're more coins from an even earlier time period than previously. There's absolutely nothing new there. It's just more examples of the same accusations. And more importantly, last year I was already tried of this. I explained myself. I went on Twitter Spaces. I answered every question that everyone had. I took shots from every anonymous avatar, every insult that they could possibly throw at me. And I made the vow that I was going to change and be different. Now, what I heard in that Spaces and what I realized was that people had a major problem with an account my size sharing low cap altcoins, right? What people don't realize, when you have 20,000 Twitter followers or 40,000, 50,000, you can do whatever you want. You have a great time. You're sharing all your trades, all your low caps. As you get bigger, you start to get pushback, and there becomes a point when you can't do the same things anymore. It's growing pains, and eventually you realize that you need to change your behavior. Now, to be very, very clear, all of the coins, except for maybe one of them, but almost every coin I've invested in that was discussed on Twitter, I'm still holding the bulk of those positions, 70, 80, 90% sometimes of those positions. Like any responsible trader or investor, I took out my initial investment when I had the chance, money that I spent. Some of them, I got to take some initial profit, and then I took the rest of it and I held on to it indefinitely. I'm down 90, 95, 99% on some of those coins, but you go down with the ship and hope that it rises again. If you invested in Amazon in the early 2000s, you experienced a 95% drawdown before it came back. That's what I have done. It's the responsible thing to do. Now, forgetting everything that happened last year, forgetting all of that, even if you believe the worst in someone, if you believed the worst in me, what would be your desired result from me going through all of that? I think obviously it would be that you want me to change. I would tell you that I'm going to change, but instead I can tell you that I have changed. You can look back for the last year of content. I've completely stopped doing those things as I said I would, and I've committed to creating the best possible content, having the biggest guests that I can possibly get, making everything that I do free and transparent. You've never heard me talk about low cap altcoins on YouTube. I even make jokes about it and sing, "We don't talk about low caps. No, no, no." Right? As you guys know, I've completely changed my behavior, and I'm 100% committed to helping as many people as I can and fostering mainstream adoption of crypto, which is the reason that I show up, which is the reason I stopped completely monetizing even the $15 a person for the newsletter and went completely free. I'm 100% committed to doing more good moving forward. I've been doing that now for a year. And if you had a problem with what I did, obviously that's between yourself. I've changed. I'm doing the best I can, and I will continue to do that indefinitely. And most importantly, guys, I want to thank all of you that have stuck by me through all of this, all of you who know that I didn't do anything tremendously wrong and that I've tried to do my best through all of it. You guys are an incredible community. I love you, and that's all I have to say about it. We're going to move on now with the rest of the live stream as usual. Here we go, guys. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen here. We got it. Wrong chart, ETH Bitcoin. But we want to take a look, obviously, at the Bitcoin chart here, right? On the daily is the time frame that we want to spend the most time on because I think that it is the most telling. As you can see, Bitcoin still from the lows back in January at around 33,000, putting in higher lows, right? That is not a bearish trend, even though it's at a bottom here. Some would call this a bear flag, but it's not. It's way too long after seeing this drop to be considered a bear flag. This is simply an ascending channel with higher highs and higher lows. So we have a local bull trend at the bottom of a bear market. But we need to see this support, which now is perfect with 3 perfect touches holding. We are in a descending wedge. I'll show you that we have bullish divergence. There's a lot of reasons to believe that we will at least get a relief bounce out of this, right? A relief bounce. So we will see price go up. I'm not saying it's the bottom. I'm not saying we're going to totally reverse, but I'm saying that this looks pretty decent, especially if we can get above, I don't know, 39,218 right here, this local resistance, to believe that we could be bouncing off and maybe we even take a trip to the middle or top of that channel. Take a look at it on the line chart. You can see very clearly that descending wedge, right? Basically 3 touches here on the bottom, 2 on the top, and we have still bullish divergence. My only concern here is that with the bullish divergence here on the daily, we've not made it back to oversold from overbought, right? We made it all the way back to overbought, but we have not gone down to where it's oversold as of yet. That usually is going to happen. It will happen eventually, but for now, we have confirmed bullish divergence that's continued to build and no hidden bearish divergence, right? Price and RSI both continue to make lower highs, a series of them right here. So for now, you have to expect that we will see this bullish divergence play out. It's on multiple time frames and break out through the top of that wedge, which you can see here. Now, everybody wants to know about altcoins. You know, we don't talk about low caps. No. But we can talk about Ethereum. Ethereum, Bitcoin right here, right? It's one thing to look at the Ethereum USD chart, but really the metric for altcoins is to see how they're performing against Bitcoin in their Bitcoin pairs, obviously. As you can see here, we have an interesting trend with ETH BTC, which has largely been outperforming since March, right? And listen, if you zoom out, I mean, it's been outperforming for a very long time. These lines were obviously drawn on the weekly. That's why they're not exact. But we have this monster sort of ascending channel I've talked about before, ascending wedge, right? What we have now here is we have this definitive move up through March. And then we have a cooling down, consolidation, but looks like a descending wedge, kind of a bull flag, but you would want the bull flag to be exactly even. So it'd be more like this, a descending wedge. And interestingly, price came down to test both the 50 and 200 MA here on the daily as support, broke just below, as you tend to see, and then a big candle right here with lots of demand showing up to break above that. Now you're going to likely get a golden cross. Not my favorite signal, as I guys have told you a million times. It's usually a lagging indicator. MAs are a result of what's happened before, not what's going to happen in the future, right? But they can be very, very interesting when they're actually acting as resistance or support when they happen. So if both of these push up and price is touching it, I would expect you to see a pop simply because you have both the 50 and 200 MAs acting as support and holding price on the way up. Right? Really, you want to see this top resistance broken to confirm. But right now, this looks pretty good. I like to call this, let me see if I can draw it. I used to joke. You see this all the time. It's like the Loch Ness monster pattern. You guys see it? Right? Dinosaur pattern, brontosaurus, puppy dog. I don't know. Call it what you will. It's a very frequent pattern where you sort of get this double bottom, right? And then you have the higher point in between, and then you get consolidation here. Right? Not uncommon at all. That's really all I've got on the charts. I just say, like, it feels like there's a lot of panic. It feels like there's a lot of people thinking that the world is ending. But right now, there's a lot of reasons to believe that we're just kind of sideways and waiting. Fed announcement coming, rate hikes, a lot happening in the world. And Bitcoin is just sort of boring. As I talked about with McGlone yesterday, right? I mean, Bitcoin's still making higher lows through this entire thing, while like the NASDAQ is setting new lows, S&P and such performing badly. So as he said, you would expect with the implied volatility of Bitcoin, that Bitcoin would be like $20,000 right now. Because right, if it happens to stocks, it should happen 5-10 times worse to Bitcoin. And basically Bitcoin has just reacted by chopping sideways. Not altogether bearish at all to see that. Let's move on to some news. Tesla believes in the potential of digital assets, SEC filing reveals. After over a year of Elon Musk's public love-hate relationship with crypto, I don't think he's had a hate relationship with crypto. Tesla has taken a more favorable stance. Actually, I don't think that their stance has changed at all. The only time that the stance changed, I guess you could say, is when they sold a bit of Bitcoin, which you said was to prove liquidity and obviously to pad their quarterly numbers last year. But they said they're going to hold the rest of it long term. They have diamond hands and nothing's going to change that. This is a reaffirmation of that, but this is nothing new. So I think that it's not really that honest to say that they've taken a more favorable stance. But this was the quote: "We believe in the long-term potential of digital assets, both as an investment and also as a liquid alternative to cash," Tesla's quarterly report SEC filing said. Basically, like I said, reaffirming their stance, saying that they're going to continue and hold. Of course, at the bottom, as with any investment and consistent with how we manage fiat-based cash and cash equivalent accounts, we may increase or decrease our holdings of digital assets at any time based on the needs of the business and our view of market and environmental conditions. People freaked out last year when Elon Musk and Tesla, I should say, because he didn't sell, when Tesla sold some Bitcoin. Like, how dare you? We love you when you buy it, but if you sell like 5 or 10% of it, we hate you, right? Not allowed to ever sell anything in crypto. That's a lesson that you'll learn, right? But the result of all of that was that they've held the rest of it, right? As I've said, sold a little bit because it's a business decision. As I said, everybody vilified him, but it seemed like a good decision. If you can sell a little bit, pad your quarterly numbers, make your stock go up, you are basically doing your fiduciary duty to your investors. If you're a Tesla shareholder and quarterly numbers can look better and your stock price is going to go up if you sell a bit of Bitcoin, you do that. And remember, you can't say fiduciary without saying douche. Bitcoin Mining Council rebuts House Democrats in letter to EPA. So guys, you may have seen last week a group of House Democrats, of course, sent a letter to the EPA cautioning the agency about the pollution and emissions of Bitcoin mining. It was sort of all the usual suspects on the very far left: Brad Sherman, AOC, etc. And listen, they may have legitimate concerns. We should not poo-poo or dismiss based on political party the fact that people who maybe don't fully understand Bitcoin will think that it's an environmental issue that should be looked into. So I'm not really like as triggered by them going to the EPA and saying, hey, you guys should look into this, as maybe some other people are. But Michael Saylor, along with the Bitcoin Mining Council, basically refuted it point by point by point by point, right? It's a long letter. You guys can look it up and read it. But it was signed by Jack Dorsey, Novogratz, Scaramucci, right? I mean, all the big names, of course, Saylor. But they basically went on to address every issue. Here are the key points, right? They argue that miners utilize electricity like any other data center, and mining itself does not create emissions, right? They primarily use power sources that can create emissions, and those emissions can be reduced or eliminated with policy decisions, right? It also says that the claims in the representatives' letters are false. The claim that Bitcoin mining produces 30,700 tons of electronic waste yearly. The signatories argue this figure comes from a notably biased source and that the paper it cites fails to meaningfully prove the claim. You guys know all the FUD. They addressed it one by one very clearly. We will see if it has any impact. Now, this is a really big piece of news to me. Really big piece of news here is that Argentina's largest private bank is to offer Bitcoin, Ethereum trading. But more than that, they're offering Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC, and of course, XRP, because the banks love that sweet XRP. This is what they said. Banco Galicia launches a new and innovative service for its customers, offering the purchase, sale, and custody of cryptocurrencies in a simple, secure, and one-stop place. Now, nobody needs this more than Argentinians, right? Maybe Venezuelans. Anywhere that people have a massively hyperinflated currency, they need access at the highest and lowest levels from banks, from decentralized sources to harder assets and currencies. And we all know that Bitcoin saves lives in countries where there's hyperinflation. This is a great move. And when it's the biggest private bank, others are going to take notice and they're going to, I believe, inevitably follow, right? Next, VanEck releases first NFTs promising early access to research. The asset management firm is releasing 1,000 non-fungible tokens with varying levels of access to special benefits and community. What's interesting, so this is going to give you early access to their research, all these kind of ideas that they have here. I think they call them the Hammies after Alexander Hamilton. Pretty clever. But they made it very clear, actually, these have no value. They said if you buy it, it's basically a ticket to all of these things that are happening with VanEck, but you should not buy it if you have any intention of reselling it. It will have no value. It should only be used for its utility. I find that to be really interesting and actually quite responsible. Don't go flip these, buy them because you're interested in what VanEck's doing. I'm curious if we'll see that approach more often moving forward. Finally, Uzbekistan's president issues decree to adopt special crypto framework. The Republic of Uzbekistan is preparing to adopt a new crypto regulatory framework, including a 7.5% income tax on crypto-related salaries. That is obviously low. This is generally considered to be bullish news. Here we go. Participants of the special regime have to pay mandatory deductions to all types of taxes, state trust funds, as well as customs payments for equipment, technology, documentation, software imported for their own needs, not produced in the Republic of Uzbekistan. Basically, people are going to pay, seemingly, now that I'm really reading it, a little bit more taxes if they're involved in the crypto industry. So actually, I read it very quickly before. Maybe not going to be received as positively as you would think. Guys, that's all I have for you today. There's really not much news. Not much news. Not surprisingly, really very little seeming to happen at the moment, right? In the crypto space. Good time to go outside. I don't know, play some golf, get a hobby, hug your wife, hang out with your kids, do all the things that are important to you, because it's basically pointless right now to be staring here at charts. Guys, that's all I've got. I will see you tomorrow back again with the newsletter. As I said, we'll continue to sit here, deliver free content to the best of my ability as much as you will consume it. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.